Captain Elias stood in the cockpit of his ship, staring out at the endless stretch of stars. Every light was a sun, every sun a world, and somewhere out there lay a planet no human had ever touched. His heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. Humanity had explored many worlds, but this one was different. It was whispered in secret reports and classified files, a world ruled by an alien queen whose intelligence and strength were legendary. No human had met her and lived to tell the tale, and yet here he was. The landing was smoother than Elias expected. The ship glided over the crystalline plains, each surface reflecting light like thousands of tiny mirrors. The color seemed impossible, shifting and glowing, painting the landscape with shades Elias had no names for. He felt a strange calm as he stepped out of the ship, the weight of the universe pressing softly on his shoulders. The air was different. He could feel it in his lungs, a faint hum like the planet itself was alive. Then a voice filled his mind, not spoken aloud but directly, like a thought reaching into his skull. "Why have you come, human? Do you not fear what you cannot understand?" Elias froze for a moment, feeling a shiver crawl down his spine. He had trained for diplomacy, for negotiation, for crisis, but nothing could prepare him for a voice that spoke directly into his mind. He took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. "I come in peace," he replied, letting his voice carry as much honesty as he could muster. "I want to know you, to understand." There was silence and then a ripple in the air. A figure appeared, towering and radiant. Her skin shimmered like liquid moonlight, her body tall and elegant, but it was her eyes that caught Elias. They were vast, like twin pools of starlight filled with wisdom, sorrow, and a loneliness that pierced him through. This was the queen, the ruler of an entire species. She looked at him carefully, as if reading every thought he had. "Human," she said, voice melodic yet commanding. "I hear your kind is clever, unpredictable, and dangerous. Why should I trust you?" Elias held her gaze, refusing to show fear. "Because fear is for those who cannot see. I see you. I see who you are, not just what others say. I do not judge by appearances or rumors." The queen tilted her head, intrigued but cautious. A faint laugh escaped her lips, soft and musical yet carrying the weight of centuries. "You speak boldly, human. You claim to see me, but how can you? My people call me ugly. They say my appearance is a curse, a mark of power that frightens them. Why do you call me magnificent?" Elias smiled, a simple, warm smile that reached his eyes. "Because beauty is not in the shell, queen. Beauty is courage, wisdom, strength, and truth. I see all of that in you. You are more beautiful than anyone I have ever met." Her expression shifted, a flicker of something she had never allowed herself to feel: hope. She stepped closer, examining him in silence, as if testing whether his words were real. Elias did not flinch. He felt an odd connection, a bridge forming between two very different beings held together by understanding. "You speak strangely," she whispered. "But perhaps humans are not as blind as my people say. Perhaps you are different." Elias nodded gently. "We are different, yes. But sometimes that difference allows us to see the truth no one else dares to face." For the first time in centuries, the queen did not hide behind her power, her reputation, or the fear of judgment. She simply looked at him, curious and cautious yet drawn to the warmth in his words. And in that moment, Elias felt a flicker of hope too. A hope that perhaps humanity could not only survive the stars but could touch them in ways no one had imagined. The wind of the alien plains whispered around them, carrying the scent of unknown flowers, or perhaps it was just the scent of beginnings. Whatever it was, Elias knew one thing. This encounter would change both of them forever. The alien queen stood before Elias, her tall form glowing faintly under the strange light of the crystalline plains. Her eyes, deep and endless, watched him carefully. She was a ruler feared across worlds, a being of power and wisdom, yet in that moment, she seemed small, vulnerable even. She had spent centuries hiding her true self from her own people, wearing a mask of strength that none could see behind. And now a human dared to look through it. "You call me magnificent," she said softly, her voice a mixture of wonder and disbelief. "I am not magnificent. My appearance, it is ugly. My people avoid me. They fear me, and yet—" "You see something else." "Why?" Elias smiled gently. "Because beauty is not what others see. Beauty is what someone recognizes in you. The courage to lead, the wisdom to understand, the strength to endure. I see all of that in you, Queen. That is real beauty. She tilted her head, a small laugh escaping her. It was a laugh that carried centuries of loneliness and self-doubt. Humans speak strangely. Perhaps you are blind, seeing what is not there. I am not blind, Elias said firmly. I see who you are. And who you are is remarkable. Her large eyes softened, and she took a slow step closer. You're different. No one has ever spoken to me like this. No one has ever seen me. Elias looked at her steadily, letting his words carry the weight of truth. It is because I do not fear what is unfamiliar. I do not judge by shape, color, or form. I see hearts, minds, and souls. I see you. The queen felt a strange warmth bloom inside her chest. She had been alone for so long, surrounded by advisors who bowed to her power but never truly understood her. Now this human, so fragile compared to her strength, stood before her unafraid and sincere. For the first time she wondered if perhaps she had been wrong about humans. You speak of seeing hearts, she whispered almost to herself. But my heart, it has carried too much. Loneliness, fear, the burden of leadership. How can you understand such things? Elias took a careful step closer, lowering himself slightly to meet her gaze. I do not claim to understand everything, he admitted. But I do understand that hiding your heart makes it lonely, that hiding your truth makes it heavy. And I see that in you. That is why I call you beautiful. Because only someone with a heart like yours could carry all of this and still stand tall. The queen felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She turned away, embarrassed by her own emotion, yet she could not hide it. I have never heard words like yours, she murmured. Perhaps humans are not as blind as I thought. Elias smiled softly, letting his presence speak what words could not. We are not blind. We can see what is hidden. And sometimes the hidden things are the most important. That is what makes us human. That is our greatest strength. She looked back at him, her eyes shimmering with a mixture of surprise, wonder, and a fragile hope. Human, you make me feel seen, truly seen. And I do not know if I have ever felt that before. Elias reached out, his hand hovering near hers, a silent gesture of understanding. You are seen, Queen, and that sight is not something that fades easily. For a moment silence fell between them, filled only by the alien wind sweeping over the plains. The queen felt a shift inside her, a small spark of courage and warmth. Perhaps she could trust, perhaps she could hope. Perhaps this human had not just crossed the stars to meet her. Perhaps he had crossed the distance of loneliness that had held her for centuries. And in that spark, in that quiet, fragile connection, Elias knew something too. Humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons or ships, but in the courage to see and honor the truth in another being, no matter how different they were. The alien queen remained still, unsure what the future held, but certain of one thing. For the first time in centuries, she did not feel entirely alone. Days passed on the alien planet, and Elias found himself walking through gardens and halls unlike anything he had ever seen. The air shimmered with life, the ground sparkled under their feet, and strange music drifted from crystal structures that seemed to hum with energy. The queen accompanied him, her presence both commanding and fragile. He noticed the way she moved, a careful elegance, as if every step carried centuries of expectation and isolation. You are patient, human, she said one evening as they watched twin moons rise in the violet sky. Most of my people fear you. They do not trust humans, yet you do not flinch even when I show them my truth. Elias shook his head. It is not fear that guides me, Queen. It is understanding. I know fear has its place, but it does not define us. It is courage and kindness that define humanity. The queen laughed softly, a sound that carried both amusement and sorrow. Kindness. It is rare among my kind, even rarer among humans, it seems. Perhaps that is why you speak so boldly. You are naive or brave. Perhaps both, Elias admitted. But bravery is easier when you choose to see the truth instead of hiding from it. You have lived hiding from your people, hiding from yourself, hiding even from the stars. That is no easy life. Her large eyes flickered with emotion she could not name. For centuries she had worn a mask of strength and fear, never letting anyone see the cracks underneath. And yet this human had looked past the mask, past the power and the reputation into something raw and honest. I am tired, she confessed, voice low and trembling. I carry their expectations, their fear, their hatred. They call me ugly, monstrous. They say I do not deserve my throne, and now you speak to me as if none of that matters. Elias reached out, placing a gentle hand over hers. The queen flinched slightly at the warmth of human touch but did not pull away. It does not matter to me what they think. I see who you are. That is what matters. No one else has ever done that, have they? She shook her head, tears glimmering in her eyes. No one has. I have been alone for centuries. Ruling, yes, but alone. And yet here you are, Elias said softly, sharing your thoughts with me. That is courage, Queen. The kind of courage that humans admire. The kind of courage that changes worlds. Her breath caught. You admire me? I do, he said simply. Not for the crown you wear, not for the fear you inspire. I admire you for surviving, for standing tall when the weight of your people and your own doubts could crush you. That is true beauty. The queen looked down at her hands, unsure whether to believe him. For so long she had hidden her heart, her true self, and yet she felt something fragile stir inside her. A warmth, a hope, a connection that terrified her. Human, she whispered, I do not know if I deserve your words. I am broken in ways I cannot explain. Elias smiled, steady and warm. None of us are perfect. Brokenness is part of life, part of strength. What makes us human, what makes you magnificent, is that we face our brokenness and we keep going. That is what you have done, Queen. That is why I call you beautiful. For a long moment they stood in silence, watching the alien moons rise. Around them the garden seemed to glow brighter, as if reflecting the fragile trust and understanding growing between them. And deep in her heart, the queen felt something she had not felt in centuries. Hope. A hope that perhaps she was no longer entirely alone, and that this human, this small, brave human, had come not just to her planet, but to her soul. The calm days of discovery ended abruptly. Word of a human walking freely on the alien queen's planet reached the council. The elders, ancient and sharp, demanded immediate action. The human is an intruder, they said. He cannot be trusted. He endangers everything we have built. The queen must remove him now. The queen stood in the grand hall, her form tall and unyielding, yet her heart pounded. She looked at Elias, who remained calm beside her, his eyes full of quiet strength. She had grown to trust him, to see the honesty in his words, and now she faced a choice. Obey her counsel or defend the human who had touched her heart. They fear him because they do not understand, she said, her voice firm but low. He is no threat. He sees me as I am. That is what matters, one of the council elders sneered. You forget your duty. A human among us could bring disaster. Do you value your emotions over the safety of your people? The queen's chest tightened. She had lived under fear and judgment for centuries. Every decision she made was scrutinized, but for the first time she refused to be dictated by fear alone. I will not cast out one who sees truth. If you cannot accept that, then you misunderstand leadership. Elias stepped forward, sensing her tension. Queen, he said softly, you do not have to risk yourself for me. I am human. We can survive even if we leave this place. She shook her head, eyes blazing. No. If humanity fears to see me as I truly am, that is their weakness. But you have chosen to see me. You have chosen to honor me. That cannot be erased, the council murmured, anger simmering in their voices. Some leaned forward, demanding her obedience, while others hesitated, curious at the human's presence. Elias raised his hand slightly, not in threat but in a gesture of peace. I do not ask to rule this world. I ask only for understanding. You have never seen a human like me, nor have you allowed yourselves to see the truth about your queen. That is all I offer. The room fell silent. The weight of his words hung in the air, pressing on every council member. They were unaccustomed to hearing honesty that did not bow to fear or tradition. Their skepticism flickered, replaced with cautious contemplation. The queen felt her heart swell. Elias had done what she could not. He spoke not with power but with truth. See him, she commanded the council. See what humans are capable of. We do not thrive by domination alone. We thrive by understanding, by recognizing strength and courage when it stands before us. A tense moment passed. Then one of the elder council members, ancient and wise, stepped forward. Perhaps there is merit in what he says. Perhaps our judgment has been clouded by fear of difference. Another nodded slowly. It is rare, yes, but his words ring with clarity. Perhaps humanity is not what we feared. The queen exhaled, relief washing over her. She glanced at Elias, who smiled at her, not boastfully but warmly, gently. In that smile, she felt trust, loyalty, and admiration. The human had become more than an envoy. He had become her ally, her proof that her people could be taught a new way of seeing. "You have done more than I could have imagined," she whispered, almost to herself. "You have not only defended yourself, you have defended me." Elias shook his head. "We defend each other by seeing what others cannot. That is what makes humans strong. That is what makes you magnificent." Her chest ached with emotion she could barely name. Pride, relief, hope, all mixed together in a way that left her feeling lighter, freer. For the first time, she realized that strength was not only in ruling or power, but in trust, understanding, and the courage to honor truth, even when it frightened those around her. The council stepped back, murmuring among themselves, slowly accepting what they could not ignore. Elias had not just survived the encounter, he had changed the hearts of centuries-old leaders, and in doing so, he had proven something more. Humanity's greatest weapon was not steel or fire, but the ability to see and honor what was real. The Queen looked at him, eyes shimmering. "You are extraordinary, human." Elias simply smiled, knowing their journey together had only just begun. The calm days of discovery ended abruptly. Word of a human walking freely on the alien Queen's planet reached the council. The elders, ancient and sharp, demanded immediate action. "The human is an intruder," they said. "He cannot be trusted. He endangers everything we have built. The Queen must remove him now." The Queen stood in the grand hall, her form tall and unyielding, yet her heart pounded. She looked at Elias, who remained calm beside her, his eyes full of quiet strength. She had grown to trust him, to see the honesty in his words, and now she faced a choice. Obey her counsel or defend the human who had touched her heart. "They fear him because they do not understand," she said, her voice firm but low. "He is no threat. He sees me as I am. That is what matters," one of the council elders sneered. "You forget your duty. A human among us could bring disaster. Do you value your emotions over the safety of your people?" The Queen's chest tightened. She had lived under fear and judgment for centuries. Every decision she made was scrutinized, but for the first time she refused to be dictated by fear alone. "I will not cast out one who sees truth. If you cannot accept that, then you misunderstand leadership." Elias stepped forward, sensing her tension. "Queen," he said softly, "you do not have to risk yourself for me. I am human. We can survive even if we leave this place." She shook her head, eyes blazing. "No. If humanity fears to see me as I truly am, that is their weakness. But you have chosen to see me. You have chosen to honor me. That cannot be erased," the council murmured, anger simmering in their voices. Some leaned forward, demanding her obedience, while others hesitated, curious at the human's presence. Elias raised his hand slightly, not in threat but in a gesture of peace. "I do not ask to rule this world. I ask only for understanding. You have never seen a human like me, nor have you allowed yourselves to see the truth about your queen. That is all I offer." The room fell silent. The weight of his words hung in the air, pressing on every council member. They were unaccustomed to hearing honesty that did not bow to fear or tradition. Their skepticism flickered, replaced with cautious contemplation. The Queen felt her heart swell. Elias had done what she could not. He spoke not with power but with truth. "See him," she commanded the council. "See what humans are capable of. We do not thrive by domination alone. We thrive by understanding, by recognizing strength and courage when it stands before us." A tense moment passed. Then one of the elder council members, ancient and wise, stepped forward. "Perhaps there is merit in what he says. Perhaps our judgment has been clouded by fear of difference." Another nodded slowly. "It is rare, yes, but his words ring with clarity. Perhaps humanity is not what we feared." The Queen exhaled, relief washing over her. She glanced at Elias, who smiled at her, not boastfully but warmly, gently. In that smile she felt trust, loyalty, and admiration. The human had become more than an envoy. He had become her ally, her proof that her people could be taught a new way of seeing. "You have done more than I could have imagined," she whispered almost to herself. "You have not only defended yourself, you have defended me." Elias shook his head. "We defend each other by seeing what others cannot. That is what makes humans strong. That is what makes you magnificent." Her chest ached with emotion she could barely name. Pride, relief, hope, all mixed together in a way that left her feeling lighter, freer. For the first time she realized that strength was not only in ruling or power, but in trust, understanding, and the courage to honor truth, even when it frightened those around her. The council stepped back, murmuring among themselves, slowly accepting what they could not ignore. Elias had not just survived the encounter. He had changed the hearts of centuries-old leaders, and in doing so, he had proven something more. Humanity's greatest weapon was not steel or fire, but the ability to see and honor what was real. The Queen looked at him, eyes shimmering. "You are extraordinary, human." Elias simply smiled, knowing their journey together had only just begun. The days that followed were different from anything the Queen had ever known. The alien council no longer whispered threats or demands. Instead, they watched, cautiously curious, as Elias and the Queen walked together through the crystalline gardens. His presence had changed something, not just in her but in them. Humanity, it seemed, had a power beyond weapons or numbers, the power to see truth and courage where others saw only fear. The Queen felt it most keenly in herself. She had spent centuries hiding, convincing herself that her appearance and power were curses, but Elias had shown her another way. Each time he called her magnificent, each time he saw past the walls she had built, a small flame of confidence grew inside her. For the first time she felt whole. "You move differently now," Elias observed one evening, as they strolled beneath the pale light of twin moons. "There is less caution, more freedom." "You are lighter, Queen." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed almost musical in the alien night. "I feel lighter," she admitted. "For centuries I have carried their fear, their judgment, their doubts, and yet, with you here, it does not weigh so much. I feel seen." "You deserve to be seen," Elias said gently, "not for what others think, but for who you truly are. That is what makes you beautiful. That is what makes you human in the truest sense." Her chest swelled with emotion. She had never heard words like these spoken to her, not by any alien, not even by her advisors. She turned to him, eyes shimmering. You honor me, human. Even when I doubt myself, even when the world rejects me, you see me, truly see me. And you deserve it," Elias said. "It is not because of your throne or your power. It is because of your courage, your wisdom, your heart. That is beauty no council, no people, no galaxy can take away." The Queen felt tears prick her eyes. She had spent so long believing she was alone, that her life was a chain of duty and fear. Yet now, walking beside this human who understood more than anyone else ever had, she felt something new. Hope. The council, too, began to change. They watched from afar as Elias and the Queen spoke, laughed, and shared moments of quiet understanding. Their skepticism, once as solid as stone, softened. They had always thought humans were reckless, selfish, blind to truth. But here was Elias, standing firm not with weapons but with honesty and courage. He did not demand respect. He earned it by showing what humanity could truly be. One elder, ancient and wise, finally spoke during a council meeting. "Perhaps we have been wrong," he said slowly. "This human has not only proven himself, but he has shown the Queen what she has been unable to see herself. Perhaps humanity is capable of more than we imagined." The murmurs grew, hesitant but growing stronger. The council could not ignore the truth. Elias had changed their perspective, and in doing so he had lifted the Queen as well. For the first time in centuries she felt powerful not because of fear, but because of trust, connection, and understanding. That evening, the Queen stood at the edge of the crystalline plains, gazing at the horizon. Elias joined her, silent but steady. She turned to him, a soft smile lighting her face. "You have done more than survive here," she said. "You have transformed everything. You have transformed me." Elias placed a hand gently over hers. "No, Queen, you transformed yourself. I only showed you what humans have always known, the power of seeing truth, the courage to honor it, and the strength to stand by it." She looked at him, eyes glistening. "Then perhaps I am not ugly. Perhaps I am magnificent." "You are," he said simply, his smile steady and warm, "and always will be." For the first time, the Queen believed it, and as they stood together looking out at the alien horizon, she felt a sense of peace and pride she had never known. Humanity had not come to conquer her world nor to rule it. Humanity had come to see, to honor, and to inspire. And in that moment she understood the true meaning of power, courage, and beauty. The time had come for Elias to leave the alien planet. His mission, though begun as diplomacy, had become something far greater. He had not only met the Queen, he had changed her world and perhaps in small ways the hearts of her people. Humanity had proven itself not with weapons or power, but with understanding, courage, and truth. The Queen stood at the edge of the crystalline plains, her tall figure glowing faintly under the twin moons. Elias approached, his steps calm and steady. They had walked these gardens together countless times, shared quiet conversations and glimpsed emotions each had long kept hidden. Now the weight of departure hung between them. "Will you return?" the Queen asked softly, her voice trembling with something she had not expected. Hope and fear intertwined. Elias reached for her hand. She allowed it, letting warmth and trust pass between them. "I will," he said gently. "Even if I cannot, what matters is that you carry the truth I have seen. Humans are not blind. We honor courage, strength, and heart, and I have seen all of that in you." Her eyes glistened. For centuries she had feared isolation, the judgment of her people and even her own reflection. But now she felt seen, not as a ruler, not as a legend, but as herself. "As magnificent, strong, and human in her courage, you make me feel extraordinary," she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. "And I do not know if anyone has ever made me feel that way before." Elias smiled softly. "And you are extraordinary, not because of your power or title, but because of who you are. Courageous, wise, honest, and beautiful, in ways the stars themselves could envy." She looked out at the alien horizon, the light from the crystalline plains casting colors across her shimmering skin. I believe you," she said quietly. "Perhaps for the first time I truly believe it." The council had watched silently, their earlier fear replaced with cautious respect. Humans had arrived not to conquer but to understand, and in doing so they had demonstrated a power that words and weapons could never achieve. Elias had not just survived, he had inspired bridged worlds and changed hearts. Elias stepped back toward his ship, the hum of the engines beginning to fill the quiet night. He turned one last time to the Queen. "You are not alone," he said. "Your people may fear the unknown, but you know the truth now. You are strong enough to carry it, and someday the universe will know it too." The Queen lifted her head, radiant under the alien moons. She straightened her shoulders, feeling the weight of centuries lift from her heart. "And you, human, are extraordinary," she said softly. "You have taught me what it means to be seen and to see. I will not forget you." Elias nodded, a small, gentle smile crossing his face. He stepped into his ship, feeling the pull of Earth calling him home, but also carrying something new, the knowledge that humanity could reach across the stars not just with ships, but with courage, empathy, and the heart to see the truth in others. The engines hummed, the ship lifting into the sky. The Queen watched until it became a speck among the stars. And in that moment she understood something profound. Strength was not in being feared, but in being understood. Courage was not in domination, but in truth. And beauty was not in appearances, but in the heart that dared to shine, even when the world called it ugly. Elias looked down at the alien planet one last time, feeling the warmth of connection still lingering in his chest. Humanity had been tested, and it had shown its greatest power. Not in conquest, not in might, but in the ability to see, honor, and inspire. The universe was vast, dangerous, and often indifferent, but humans could touch it with heart. And the alien Queen, standing tall and luminous on her crystalline world, smiled for the first time in centuries, knowing that someone had truly seen her. She was not alone. She was not ugly. She was magnificent. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter that night. Humanity had reached out and the universe had noticed.